Welcome back. Well, you heard the argument from Nzuko Koti, the spokesperson from the Nelson Mandela Foundation, on the issue today, the Foundation's application to the Equality Court sitting in Johannesburg, asking for it to be declared illegal to have a gratuitous display of the old South African flag, the Apartheid flag, perhaps you might prefer. Ernst Roets is Afriforum's Deputy CEO, or Afriforum is arguing against that application. He joins me now. Ernst, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Why are you defending the very symbol of the Apartheid regime?
Well, we're not. We've made it very clear in our court documents that we're not there for the debate about the flag in particular. We're there about the bigger debate, which is about the protection of freedom of expression in South Africa. Afriforum, we've described ourselves in the court papers as a reluctant respondent, and what we mean by that is we don't have a particular interest in displaying the flag. As a matter of fact, we actively discourage the display of the flag. You won't see it at Afriforum gatherings. And we believe that it's not conducive to a solution to display the flag. But nonetheless, to say that people should not display the flag is not the same thing than to say that people should be banned or prevented by law, regardless of how you frame it, from displaying the flag, and that's why we are in this matter.
So you say this is about freedom of expression for you?
Yes.
You took the complete opposite approach during the Dubula Ibunu case in 2011, involving the then ANC Youth League leader Julius Malema. In fact, you tried to stop him singing it.
Yeah, well, now there's a major difference between the Dubula Ibunu case and this case, which is the definition of hate speech. The definition of hate speech implies that it should not imply, states very categorically that it should contain an incitement to cause harm. So if you sing about killing people, that's an incitement to cause harm. If you display a flag, that in itself is not an incitement to cause harm. If you combine that with something else, then it might be hate speech. But simply displaying it is not an incitement to cause harm, regardless of how offensive it is.
You don't think that a display of the old South African flag would be an incitement to racism at all?
Well, displaying the flag per se, no, it's not. It's offensive, and we concede that it's offensive, and it's regarded as offensive by probably the vast majority of people in this country. But offensiveness does not mean incitement. If you combine it with some form of a message of taking action or something against a particular group based on their ethnicity or something like that, then yes, it's hate speech. It could be hate speech. But displaying a flag is not hate speech.
So the flag represented the racist apartheid regime, right? Isn't displaying the flag saying, it's someone proclaiming that they believe in the ideals of that regime? Let's call it what it is. It's someone proclaiming that they're a racist and proud of it.
Well, it's not necessarily that. It could be that. And if they do, then that's still protected speech. There are many cases, strange cases, and we don't understand it, of reported cases, at least in the media, of, for example, service delivery protests, and there would be black people protesting with the old South African flag. There was a story in the media the other day of a black lady going to a gala dinner dressed in the old South African flag. It was in the media. I don't know why they did that. There could be people displaying the flag because they are racist. But even if you are a racist and you display the flag to show to the world that you are a racist, that still is protected within the ambit of freedom of speech. It's only when you make a call to action, to take action against a particular group based on their race, for example, that it could become hate speech.
All right. I realise that different things here. You've got the Constitutional Court around provision of freedom of expression. You've got the Equality Act, which introduces the idea of offence, and offence is also, it's yet to be ruled upon, but I'm sure it will be by the Constitutional Court at some point. Do you accept that the old South African flag, you accept that it's offensive?
Yes.
Okay. Why would someone want to display it? The only reason can surely be, and I'm afraid this is really the point, the only reason that someone would want to protect its display, and the Foundation's been very careful to use the word gratuitous, is to make a political point. And the political point would be that the person who's waving the flag believes that white people are somehow better than black people.
Well, I don't know. I don't display the flag. I don't own one. I don't know any person that displays the flag. So I don't know. I would have to speculate. We've heard statements coming from, for example, Julius Malema saying that the apartheid system was better than the current system with regard to healthcare. We've heard, I think it was Mampela Rampele who said the apartheid system was better than the current system with regard to education. I don't know why. I don't think that's an expression of white supremacy or white anti-black racism. I don't know why they say that. I think we must be very careful to make such statements, but the question as to why people do it, I don't know what the answer is. The question that we have here is, does it constitute hate speech? And to answer that question, you need to look at the Constitution and the Equality Act. And according to the definition of hate speech, it doesn't, because it's not an incitement to cause harm.
All right. You say you're in this case as a reluctant respondent, in your view, to protect freedom of expression. How many other cases has Afriforum been involved in to protect freedom of expression rather than to limit someone else's expression?
I'm not sure. I would have to go and check. I'm sure we've been. A few months ago, I went to our law firm and I asked them how many court cases are we currently involved with, and at that time it was about 100. So I don't know how many cases we've been involved with regarding freedom of expression. I would have to check for you. I can tell you why we are involved with this case. Firstly, we've been added by the Nelson Mandela Foundation as a respondent because they seem to believe that Afriforum organized all the Black Monday protests, and they seem to believe that Afriforum was displaying the flag at those events, which isn't true. We had the option of stepping out and saying, no, we don't want to be involved. But we discussed it and we said, well, we know it's very controversial. We know it's a PR nightmare, but it is about the principle of freedom of speech at the end of the day. And freedom of speech is a bit
come on,
like...
Ernst, there are other bodies in this country that act to protect freedom of speech. There are plenty of them. There's the Freedom of Expression Institute. All of those, they could have got involved.
Well, yes, I think we should ask the question why they aren't involved.
But the question is, why are you? The question is, why have you chosen this specific thing? And isn't it because your constituency wants you to protect it?
Well, our constituency is uncomfortable with a declaratory order that the display of the flag. The Nelson Mandela Foundation said in court today that includes private display. And Selo Atang, the CEO of the foundation, has said in an interview that includes, for example, if you have the old South African flag in your bedroom, then the government should have a right to go in there and take it out. And somehow the reasoning is then you would not be a racist anymore. It doesn't make sense. So our constituency is very concerned about government interventionism and this authoritarianism creep that we see where government becomes more and more involved in people's private lives.
If you lose in this case in the Equality Court, will you take it all the way to the Constitutional Court?
I don't know. We would have to see. If we lose in this case, we would have to study the judgment and make a decision. That's the point is, as I said, we're a reluctant respondent. But the principle of freedom of speech is one that we believe should be protected.
Especially in this case?
Well, no, not especially in this case. I think in all cases.
Ernst Roets, Deputy CEO of Afriforum, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Right.